What is up people, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you about Helldivers 2 and what I feel like is the one glaring negative that this game has right now. It's nothing to do with server capacity. I feel like that's just a result of the unprecedented success that this game has had, so it's really just a positive. It's nothing to do with the crashing either or the infinite loading screen, both of which I've experienced at some point, and credit to the developers because they have been super responsive to any of the issues I've just mentioned. And in my personal experience, I'm not actually having issues with them any longer. I can't speak for everyone else, but they seem to be fixed for me. So that's really good to see that they care so much about the game and the success that it's found. And this isn't a bashing video either. I'm not just trying to shit on the game. I feel like I've seen some people doing that lately. Once again, due to the unprecedented success, it seems like some people just feel the need to, go against the tide and be edgy and say like things that are wrong with the game which aren't actually wrong, or which are always being fixed and worked on. So that's a bit weird and it's not what I'm trying to do. But the one glaring negative I do see with this game is the amount of power the host has. So let's get into it and let's talk about it. So if you weren't aware, if you're a host in Helldivers 2 of a game, you have the power to kick anybody from your mission at any point. There's no sort of system behind it. It's as simple as pausing your game, going onto their player card, and then you'll get an option to kick them from the game, and it'll take a couple of seconds. I understand the intended use behind this. I feel like there's three main ones. The first one is obviously griefers, because there are some weird, I'll say it one more time, weird individuals who exist who just go, you know what, this is a PvE game where everyone is working together, for the common good, for the glory of Super Earth. I'm gonna go in and ruin it and just start killing my own teammates. Once again, you're weird if you do that, but they do exist. We've probably all come across them at some point, and that's unfortunate. So of course there has to be some sort of a system to combat them. The other thing would be lower level players. So of course, if you're, say, going on an impossible mission difficulty, and you then have a level 5 who joins in, you've sent out an SOS beacon, but you don't really want the level 5 with you on an impossible mission. That is understandable to an extent, and of course if they're just jumping in and you kick them straight away, there's not really an issue with that. They shouldn't really be in that mission. They're not going to be able to help much. And that leads on to the next issue is, for whatever reason, if someone joins your game, and regardless of whatever difficulty the game is on and whatever level they are, they just decide that they're not going to help. They might be just kind of going off on their own thing, and depending on what difficulty you're playing on, you really need everyone to kind of be a cohesive unit. So that could be an issue. Or else, say for example for me, if I'm making thumbnails, any of the thumbnails I've made for Helldivers 2 so far, I've gone into like a trivial game and I've dived down, gone into the mission, and just also while having my matchmaking on close so nobody else joins me and I have to kick them, because no matter what you do with the settings in this game, their name is going to pop up in the left corner anyway. And then I turn all my settings off, turn all my HUD off so I can get a nice picture, etc, and then I just complete the mission and go back out, because it's not too hard to do. So again, like if they were doing something like that, they're just trying to get this nice look of the game with no HUD and just wandering about and all, and you actually want someone to play with you, understandably that could be quite frustrating. But unfortunately, different things seem to happen as hosts are abusing their ability to kick people from the game. So let's get into the actual uses, one of which is making space for your friends. You are a dick if you do this. I'm sorry, not sorry, to be honest. I understand everybody likes to play with their friends. I like to play with my friends over playing with random people. Of course, you get to actually talk to them, so that's better. I haven't actually talked to anybody yet on this game in all the missions I've been into, so I do understand it from that aspect. But at the same time, some of these missions are quite long, and it really isn't fair that somebody joins in from the start, is 25, 30, 35 minutes deep in a mission, have been helping you the whole way, pulling their weight, and then all of a sudden your mate has come online after saying he was going to be on in 5 minutes, and he actually takes half an hour, and you're like, Grant, yeah, let me just kick this fella out of the game and you can join in, and now I am, or whoever else, is getting nothing. and your friend just gets to scoop up some samples, scoop up some gear. He can even be a loot goblin. He doesn't even need to call in his little drops. He can just pick up the gear off our buddy and keep on playing and get his rewards. It's not cool. Another thing that happens is a host will get killed once. It can happen accidentally, and it does happen accidentally. Nothing to do with being a griefer at all. You know, just a lack of communication. You might throw down an airstrike or whatever, and they walk into it, whether they just didn't see it or they're a bit of an idiot. Who knows? I've seen both. But when that happens, they just decide. It's actually a mixture of two things I've experienced both personally. One of which is you then die, and they're like, this fella is not getting reinforced. That's obviously if you join in a situation where it's the host and say another one of his friends. So it's just them kind of having that communication of don't reinforce him. I have actually experienced that. Once again, whoever that was, you're weird. You ran into my airstrike. My airstrike didn't get thrown on top of you. There's a big fuck off red laser that comes up from the ground, so you should be able to see it most of the time. But yeah, that is another issue, and like I said, the main primary one of that issue is just that they get killed once and then they just decide, I'm kicking you from the game, which funnily doesn't happen when they do it to you, so I'm not sure how that really works. And then the other thing is just griefing players. So like I said in the beginning, of the intended uses for this ability to kick people from the game is obviously to avoid griefers, because although it's not a PvP game, it does have a friendly fire element. So if someone comes in, decides they want to be weird and just start killing people, you then just go see you later and you kick them. But other hosts are just waiting until, again, I don't know why you would do that. It's actually weird to like wrap my head around. You know when you just see people do stuff and you're just like, in real life, in a game, whatever, and you're just like, you're just a strange individual, like really strange. They just decide, I'm kicking this person. He's played with me for 40 minutes and he's helped me all the way through. He's even gave me stims, he's gave me ammo. It doesn't matter what you could do. And they literally decide, as the shuttle is dropping in, I'm kicking you from the game. I genuinely do think that some players have the perception that if they kick you from the game and they get, like, say they pick samples off your body, that they're going to get more samples. That's not how it works, by the way. In fact, you actually get less of a reward by not having everybody exfil. So there's that. Even though I know, like, I think sometimes if you kick someone, then you can board and it'll just count that as like 2 out of 2 or whatever. But it doesn't make a difference. Basically, you're not going to get rewarded more because you kill someone or kick someone and then pick the samples off of their body and you're the one that brings the samples on. That's not how this game is built. And one thing I want to get into before I talk about the solutions for this, because there's plenty. I understand some people are going to go, just host the game, and like that fixes everything, but you shouldn't have to just host the game. That's why it's an issue, because that's just like a little workaround. That's not solving the actual thing. Some people don't want to host the game. There's been situations where I couldn't find a game, like I couldn't find anyone who had an SOS beacon out, so I thought, do you know what, I'll go into my own game. I throw one down, no one came. I was in Malevolent Creek by myself and no one came. The reinforcements did not arrive. So some people just want to go into a quick play match to guarantee that from the start or from whenever they drop in, they're definitely going to be playing with people, and that's fine, and they should be able to do that. Like I was saying, there are multiple different solutions to remedy this issue that the developers could implement. I have a good few written down here, so I'm going to read them out to you. If you have any that you don't hear me list, please feel free to leave a comment and tell me about it. Also, just leave a comment. If you like the video, leave a comment. If you like me, leave a comment. If you hate me, also leave a comment. I don't really care. Just leave a comment. So let's get into them. One thing I think that could work as a solution is a voting system. So, for instance, like I've been saying, we're halfway through a mission. You've been playing for 30 minutes, let's say. Suddenly the host decides, for no reason whatsoever, you've been cohesive with the unit, you've been running and gunning, you've been fighting for liberty. He decides, I've had enough, I'm going to kick you. Okay? Why would he kick you though? Because you've been proactive, you've been doing your job as a Helldiver, you've been supplying your teammates, you've been fighting alongside them, He just wants to make space for his friend. You're doing better than him. He says, fuck you, I want you out of the game. You're outshining me. He goes to kick you, and the other two people who you're playing with go, well, hold on a second. He's actually been grand. He's been reinforcing me every single time that I've died. He's been helping me out. He's never, like, he's came back if he's seen I was struggling. I'm going to vote, no, I want to keep him in the game. That could be one solution. Another solution that I think could be implemented is that a host only has the power, and this actually coincides with the voting system, is that a host can only kick by themselves either when you're in the ship or within 5 minutes, let's say, of the mission. So in the ship, that's fine. There's no reason that a host shouldn't be able to kick you. You're not in a mission, it doesn't matter. Again, like I'm saying, I understand there's intended uses. So if someone's a low level, they join, and everyone's, you know, level 20, 25 plus, and you're intending on doing a Helldive mission, impossible mission, difficulty, sorry, whatever, and they're like, sorry buddy, this is for the big boys here, it's not for, this isn't in your realm, and they kick you, kill. And then like that, 5 minutes into the mission, if you all drop down and someone from the get-go decides, right, I'm just shooting everyone, kill. Or he just goes, let's say he goes off and he's just having a I don't know, having a boogie down by the water and not paying attention to anything, you can kick him. Some people might say, oh well, if griefers know that, they'll just stay in, act normal after the 5 minutes, then they'll kill people. But then if they're killing people and actually doing something bad, everybody's going to want them to go. People are going to see, oh, he's killed someone 2-3 times now. The host is going to still have the option to kick. It's going to go to a voting system, and then number 2, number 3 and number 4 players in the game are also going to vote to kick the player who's grieving. The other thing I think that should be implemented, and this again, these all just kind of tie into each other. I don't know why I'm repeating myself here. I'm still new to this format of videos. Please don't be mean to me. I don't actually care. Don't know why I said that. I said be mean to me just 5 minutes ago. Sorry about that, but it is a level system. So some people would say, why am I getting kicked from the game? If you don't want to have people join in your game, close your matchmaking. But there are people who genuinely, they don't have people to play with, or their friends aren't online at the moment, and they do want to play with other people. But like I said earlier, they might be going into a difficulty that is impossible or Helldive or even hard, and they don't want someone who's a level 5 or 6 joining them difficulties. So a level system, in terms of, just imagine you have the matchmaking that's on public, and then just below that you have a bar of minimum like level requirement to join, and you just set it to level 10. I really do think that that's a good feature or setting, and I hope it would get implemented at some point. And I also think it's a good solution to that intended use I was talking to you about earlier, where a low level player joins a higher difficulty, higher than they're probably able for, and understandably the players who are a high enough level to deal with whatever is going on in that game are a bit frustrated. But it almost seems sometimes like players are content with having this low level player just there for a bit of fodder and to help out as much as they can. But when they eventually cannot adequately deal with what's going on in that game, they just get booted out. And like I was saying, a level system put in place where you throw down your SOS beacon and you know for a fact that whoever's going to join in that game is going to be at minimum a level 15, level 20. I feel like that's a real nice feature or setting that could be put into the game. Just some other solutions as well. This is a bit of a weird one, so I'm not too sure about it, but not being able to be kicked during the extraction timer. So the last 2 minutes of the game, you wouldn't be able to get kicked. Again, I don't really know how this would work. It's a bit of a weird one, because I can't see, like, what if players know that and they stick through the whole game, which some freaks out there would do, to then just start killing everyone. So then it's like, what do we do? Do we turn off the friendly fire? But the friendly fire is also part of the game. It's also, you know, the extraction timer is going down and everyone's fighting in close quarters and someone gets killed, and you activate your beacon to call them back in, you throw it down, and it's like a race for you to get back down in the pod, maybe pick up your samples and still get on the ship. So I don't really want to see that go, but could be something to consider. Again, not like a fully flushed out thing that I think, oh, this should definitely be in the game. The last thing I do think should be put in is just being rewarded your portion of loot, as in XP, samples, rare samples, for whatever your match time was. It's really frustrating, like I was saying earlier on with the whole friends thing. It's really frustrating that some of these games, especially on the higher difficulties, can last easily like half an hour, but more than that as well, and you're gonna play through all that just to get kicked at the end of the game. And along with being kicked, you're also not getting rewarded. Now, while I think nobody should be getting kicked, because it is that feeling, like it doesn't scratch that itch. Then even if you were to get fully rewarded the same as if you extracted off that planet, there is no combination worse than right now, where you're missing out on that extraction, that dopamine dump when you're kicked towards the end of the game, getting to go to the extraction point, close quarters, holding down the fort, working with your teammates, killing everything in sight, getting on the ship at the last second. And then on top of that, you're not getting rewarded for your last 30 minutes, 35, 40, 45 minutes. I don't know about yous. Maybe when I was 15 and I didn't have much going on in my life, I would have just gone into another game. But there is no worse feeling. It literally turns you from like, oh, I'm going to play for another hour and a half, and then I'll probably head off to be like, no, get me off this game right now. Shit, shower, show, good night, see you later, see you tomorrow, maybe. Like, that's how you end up feeling. So at least if you were rewarded for your portion in the match time, yeah, you'd still be missing out on completing the mission, which I'm sure some people would still be annoyed about, but at least you're getting contributed in the way that you should be. So that's my video done, wrapped up. The one glaring negative, the power that the host has in this game right now, the griefing that they themselves are putting on the other players in their mission. The actual intended use of the feature, I understand it. The actual uses I feel that are going on. The solution, I feel like there's multiple. I'd love to see some of them introduced at some point. I feel like there is some that I listed here which don't really have any negatives at all and would just be a positive overall. So I feel like that would be good. I want to say thanks very much for my other video, which I linked earlier in this one, where I talked about all the positives of this game and why I think everybody was going crazy and is going crazy for Helldivers 2. That's done quite well. I haven't really done any, I think these are called scripted videos. See, I don't even really know, to be honest. Kind of just rambling now. I do that sometimes. Might start getting emotional, might do a little cry, who knows, but that's done well. I think it's at 1,900 views. I wasn't really expecting that. I don't know what this video is going to do either, but I just thought this was interesting, so I'll talk about it. And that's really it. So if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. On a random note, xanti_clapper x37a6. I am the champ, and I will be the champ. If you know, you know. If you don't know, get to know. Other than that, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.